Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Purge Report, where we talk about our experiences in recovery, better living, trending topics, sports, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean and I am your host. I am joined by my good friends and fellow trudgers, Bill, Corey, and Greg. You can check out new episodes of Purge Report every Tuesday. Listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Later every week, you can watch our episodes on YouTube and Facebook, but please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle @TrudgeReportPod. Again, that's @TrudgeReportPod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Good evening, gentlemen. Let's start with Corey. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm well.
I have a note here in red, bold lettering. Something about you have an announcement to make on behalf of all Philadelphia Eagle fans, and you might cry for 5 minutes, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I was hoping that you would read the actual note that somebody so kindly put in there that I'm supposed to cry for 5 minutes. It might happen. Yeah. So unfortunately, as we're all aware by this point, and when this airs, it'll be a week and a day that the legendary Jason Kelce retired from the NFL after 13 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I am shattered. If you wouldn't mind, I just wanted to go over a couple of things about Jason.
Go right ahead.
Because I'm literally mourning him at this point. Although, I guess he's still alive, but
he is, yes.
It
very
doesn't
much
feel
indeed.
like it. So yeah, 13 seasons in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. He got to live out his dream of playing for one team professionally. Originally from Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and shout out to Greg, who's sitting in Ohio, who probably knows him but won't tell me. They're literally the same age. Are you guys the same age? I think so, right?
We are the same age, yes.
Yeah, so they probably have
Same
hung out
body
plenty
type
of times.
too.
They're literally the same. So I'm going to compliment you a lot here, Greg. That being the case.
I'll take it.
7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, and Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 52. None of us have forgotten that, right? When we beat Tom Brady. I still haven't received any thank yous. I mean, nobody liked Tom Brady at that point, right? I mean, I like Tom Brady, but everybody wanted to see him lose.
At that point, I would agree. I wanted to see him lose too.
Not to the Eagles.
All right. He also, I don't know if you guys know this, Jason Kelce holds the record now, just broken this season, for the most consecutive starts in Eagles franchise history. I want to say he ended up with 152. I can't remember the exact number, but it's around there, obviously. He broke it at like 145 earlier in the season. So that's something. So obviously I won't take up too much time, but I could probably take up a lot of time because this sucks for Philly, to be honest. It sucks for Philadelphia fans, although I will say that he obviously deserves it. He has 3 young girls. He deserves to be with his family and his wife and all that. He's probably going to go on to do, commentating and all that junk and whatever. He's talked about staying with the Philadelphia organization and helping in whatever capacity he can. He also confirmed on his podcast this week. I thought this was interesting, Greg. They had a question come in from a fan saying, hey, listen, now that you're not playing for the Eagles, are you Browns fan again? Like number 1 Browns or where do they fall? And he confirmed that Eagles will always be number 1. Then Chiefs because of his brother, and then Browns. And then when he actually said when Travis retires, Browns will go up to number 2. But, that's something that I never really think about when people leave teams or whatever. Like, where is that team in their hearts? So that's kind of cool that he confirmed that. Jason, obviously, very famous Super Bowl 52 speech at the Art Museum in Philadelphia. The the whole quote that he made famous, "Hungry dogs run faster." I mean, this is iconic stuff in Philly. He literally, in that moment, probably became the king of Philadelphia. He could today run for any office in Philadelphia and win by a landslide. I don't know if that's different in other cities, to be honest. I'm sure every city loves their sports stars, but man, Philly loves him. He loves Philly. Speaking of speeches, his retirement speech, if we all saw it, definitely a tearjerker. There's literally Philadelphia radio DJs that are losing it over the speech when they recap it and stuff. It was I got a little misty myself. No, I will say no running tears, but a little misty. And man, and he showed the love. He showed the love for Philly, and I don't know. Kind of sucks because he literally embodies the city. And as much as like we love him for everything he's done on the field, I think most of us love him more so for that he's like a shining example of the passion in Philadelphia. So I don't know, that sucked Monday. I knew it was coming. I actually knew for a fact that I was going to be wearing this jersey on the podcast at some point, whether he returned or retired. And unfortunately he retired, maybe fortunately for him, but I don't know, looking forward to seeing what he does and stuff. I hope that I'm able to get to WrestleMania in a month, and I hope he's there. Not that I'll be anywhere near him, but I never got to see him play in person. But my favorite Eagle by far.
Thank you, Corey. We are all sorry for your loss.
My condolences.
He is still indeed alive, and I'm sure he's going to enjoy the hell out of his retirement with his family and his daughters. Not to say that he won't miss football, and I despise the Eagles, but truly, he seems like a stand-up guy. I mean that sincerely. So,
yeah.
Bill, how are you tonight?
I'm excellent. I hope everyone had a good week. Me, I'm extra excellent. I got the entire week off of work next week. That's fantastic. I haven't done that in
spring break, huh?
Many years. So I'm really looking forward to that. Long overdue. And had a couple of other sports announcements this week. I saw Logan Paul is fighting Mike Tyson. Correct? Or is it Jake Paul? Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson, man, 58 years old. I would love to see him knock Jake Paul out. Highly doubt it's going to happen. I'd say Jake Paul is a lock if you can bet on that one. You heard it here first. Get that in early. Also, I did see the other news this week, and I'm ashamed. Like, I didn't mean to wear this color. I'm not in unison with Philadelphia this week. I respect Jason Kelce. This is out of control. I mean, it's really out of control with this guy. The guy plays center. He plays offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles. He did a 1-hour retirement speech. I don't think Tom Brady's retirement speech was half an hour. I mean, this is out of control. Corey sent a video through the thread of some local Philadelphia DJs literally bawling in tears about Jason Kelce. And I tell you what, man, it's so theatrical. Like, we just did this whole thing with Taylor Swift and the Kelces, and I'm like, all right, this is finally over. Now we got this Jason Kelce, and he's doing this theatrical production, and it's like he wrote this poetry through Chat GPT of all these things and this and that. And it's just, to me, it's way too much for an offensive lineman. It's a hog molly. Like, we're not talking about
molly.
We're talking about an offensive lineman here. We're talking about somebody that's gritty, not up there crying like a baby. The dude is so metro. He's got his eyebrows perfectly waxed and shaved, and his beard is perfectly. He's a lumbersexual or whatever you want to call it, and it's hard to watch. I mean, I'm serious, Corey. It made me sick to my stomach watching that, man. Because I mean, he would be the 4th best center in Steelers franchise history, and I mean that with no joke. Because you got Marquise Pouncey, 2 Super Bowls, 9 Pro Bowls, 6 All-Pro selections. You got Dermotty Dawson, 7 Pro Bowls, 6 All-Pros, all-decade team, and the great Mike Webster, 2 all-decade teams, 4 Super Bowls, 9 Pro Bowls, and 8 All-Pro selections. So I would say he'd be the 4th best center on that team. I understand that Philly needs a hero, but I mean, to even compare this dude past like a Dr. J in Philadelphia or something like that is doing a disservice to Dr. J. On a Steeler note, happy birthday to Santonio Holmes, 40 years old this week. Greatest catch in Super Bowl history and a real hero. Retired, did a retirement speech in about 5 minutes. Didn't cry and was a man about it. So I got back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Bill.
Don't
forget. Hold on. Don't forget. And Jason Kelce was also named People Magazine's one of People Magazine's sexiest man alive in 2023.
Number 6.
We can't forget that.
Number 6.
We can't forget that.
He also released 2 Christmas albums. Has
Those
a number
were
one
great.
podcast.
Those
Have you
were
seen the
great.
Kelce documentary on Amazon Prime?
No,
The guy
I'm gonna
has
pass.
transcended football. And by the way, just so you know, I never heard of any of those centers.
Well, you also did just get into football like less than a year ago. So
Yeah.
Kelce replaced Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg is your former favorite Eagle before this year, probably from the movie, whatever movie that was, where he walked
Unbelievable
off.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Invincible, you.
So now it's
Whatever. Yeah. The movie itself was unbelievable, is what it was.
There you go. Yeah. So
Great.
love you,
Greg,
Corey.
Greg, enlighten us. What's going on in your
Greg.
neck of the woods?
Oh my God. All right. Well, yeah, we'll save the Kelce stuff for last. I spent a lot of time in the gym this week. I've been doing 2-a-days, man. I feel like I'm in high school all over again. But yeah, doing like switching up the program, strength training at 5:30 in the morning, and then cardio after work. So I've been worn out. But nice update I have is that I did not see a lot of like crazy broccoli haired gym bro stuff in the gym this week. Not a lot of bad etiquette this week, so maybe the world's getting better, or maybe it's just an off week and I'm going at lucky times.
Or they're listening to us.
But maybe they are listening to us, and maybe there is hope for the world yet. One of our mutual mentally unstable friends has challenged us to or Bill and I to a push-up challenge. We mentioned it last week.
Yeah, let's get an update on that.
I'm currently at, now granted, there are days where I get to like 150 and I just stop counting, and then I go until I feel like I'm going to crumple to the floor. But as far as tracked numbers right now, we are at the 8th of March. We have the whole month of March to do 3,000 push-ups, and I am currently at 1675 by doing a minimum of 150 per day, some days up to 250, just depending.
Wow.
Well, that would put you on pace for well over 3,000. I'm at 845, and I'm feeling good about it.
It's kind of one of those tortoise and the hare things. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to burn. I'm going to burn myself out.
You might blow a ligament by then.
Well, I got good ligaments. Okay, I've got the best ligaments you ever seen.
He's got those best ligaments by far. That's what everybody's saying. None better, right
The
here.
best.
It's those Midwest genes.
That's right.
Is it first person to 3,000, or just let's see if you can do 3,000?
No, it's coming from our lovely mountain gentleman Mark, who just dreams up these weird. I don't
8,545.
It's the mental instability, really. He just does.
He's live from the psych ward doing
counting by tens.
From the PB&J line doing push-ups.
Nice.
Getting his meds.
Absolutely.
I will say too, Greg,
admirable.
I was acutely aware of gym etiquette this week due to your take there. I was going down the checklist, man. I was
you start noticing that stuff a lot, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I liked it, but yeah, I was more aware of things going.
Right.
I ran into people in the mirror flexing for the first time, like Sean described last week. He talked it into existence.
Hey, you got to be careful walking behind them. They might catch you in one of their shots. You know what I mean? You got to be careful.
I'll flex on them.
You just kick them in the shin.
You got to pose behind them, photobomb them.
What else is going on, Greg? Anything?
Well, it was a big week for sports, for sure. I think, dude, if Iron Mike, I mean, we've seen
He's
videos of this
insane.
guy sparring. He's sparring guys right now at 58 years old, and he still looks like an absolute monster. Jake Paul, not taking anything away from another local guy. I'm not really a fan of him or his brother, but local guys always get respect from me. And the fact that he is, he has gone out and backed up a lot of the shit that he's talked, So, but
true.
We're talking about the baddest man on the planet, right? This is Mike Tyson. If you don't even have to watch video. Right. Not only one of the greatest boxers of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then again, you don't even have to watch videos of this guy sparring. You can literally watch these interviews where he's almost in tears talking about what it's like, what's going on inside of his body and his brain while he's in the ring with somebody. I mean, it gives me chills watching it. The dude is mentally unstable, not well, and a legit killer. So my money is going to go on Iron Mike Tyson every day of the week, no matter what.
Agreed.
Nice.
Jason Kelce. Again, I mean, we're
it's a lot.
I do agree with Bill here. I know Bill is stirring the pot because Bill does love to stir the pot. Corey, I'm not going to shed any tears for your team. If anything, you guys just got a little bit worse, and I'm happy about that. But I will say this about the speech and everything. Yes, it ran a little long, but it was humble, it was honest, and it's everything that you would want from a professional athlete, right? Especially in a day and age right now where it's like you see a lot of these guys. You see it a lot in basketball with the whole load management thing and stuff like that. A lot of these guys are just out there to collect a check, and it is 100% obvious. Like, he cares about that city. He bleeds green, and so it's everything that I love about the game of football. But yeah, the media coverage surround, and again, I'm not gonna these are hometown guys. They both they had a Kelce appreciation bobblehead night at the Cavs game the following night after that, and they sat there courtside and in their Cavs jerseys, and they were repping Cleveland, and they were having a good old time, and we won that game against the best team in the league, down our star player. So, hey, maybe that was just good juju or whatever. I'm not going to hate on him, but man, yes, I'm ready for the media coverage to subside a little bit. There's a lot of other stuff going on in the world of sports. We can all move forward. I will enjoy watching their podcast, when it comes out, because, it is fun and entertaining, but yeah, that's about it.
That is one plus, that they'll be doing weekly episodes in the off season. So that's cool. But RIP.
Good stuff. Couple quick little notes here. Next week, we will have a March Madness segment for college basketball. That is something I'm looking forward to. That's one of my fortes. I'm deep into the college basketball scene. So stay tuned for that. We'll also have some upcoming NBA playoff analysis, breakdown, arguments, little debates. And then as well, probably a Major League Baseball preview, either right before the season starts or right as it's starting. So just some things to keeping track of. Week's been good for me. My wedding anniversary is this Sunday, 6 years already. Got a little weekend planned for my wife and I. Looking forward to it. We're going to dinner at a comedy show. The girls will be at my mom's house tomorrow night. So looking forward to that. My dad's birthday is on Monday. So good week all around. No complaints on my end. Everything's going good.
Well, congrats to Mr. and Mrs. McDonald.
Thank you very much.
Indeed.
So, all right, guys, we're going to have a little fun here. We're going to do a little, another one of the back by popular demand. All the listeners are just begging for more of this little overrated, underrated segment. Today, we've chosen, we were going to do movies in general, but way too broad. Probably like the music segment. So we are going to focus on horror movies, overrated and underrated. And Mr. G.A. Phillips is going to get us kicked off with another masterful soliloquy. Floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. To start off, I am a huge movie buff. I've loved them ever since I was a little kid. I can remember vividly. I'm 2 or 3 years old, maybe a little bit older than that. My aunt bringing home Ghostbusters on VHS, and I was so excited about it. I was like running around the house like a little crackhead, and I ended up doing a swanton basically into the corner of an end table, gashing my eye open, and having to go get stitches. But I still got to watch Ghostbusters afterwards. I can remember being in the movie theater the first time, seeing Michael Keaton put on the Batman suit and being blown away by it. I remember the first time seeing Jaws and not wanting to go near a swimming pool or the ocean or even my bathtub for weeks, or watching Harrison Ford fight Nazis in Indiana Jones. I've always had like an obsession with cinema, whether it be like the great storytelling, the phenomenal performances, the visual effects, or the costume work that goes into making a movie going experience top notch. So, and nowhere is that really more prevalent than in the genre of horror movies. The schlocky B movies, the never ending array of slasher flicks from the 80s and 90s, the creature features, the paranormal and demonic stuff. There's something there for everyone. And if you're a guy like me, I love being scared. I love laughing at stuff that's supposed to be scary that doesn't scare me. I love still to this day, like going to haunted houses in October is a fun thing for me to do. I just love it. I love all the work and the craftsmanship that goes into it. And again, I think there's something there for everyone. It reminds us that spooky season is not just an October gig. So and these are my favorite to dive into and kind of travel into another world for a couple hours at a time. So yeah, like Sean said, we're gonna discuss the underrated, overrated, and maybe some of our favorite horror films of all time. So to get the ball rolling first on my underrated, I have a movie called Insidious. Came out I believe like 2010,
2011.
2011.
Mm-hmm.
To most horror buffs, this is not an underrated, this is just a gem of horror. But as far as the mainstream audience goes, maybe not a lot of people have seen it, or it's often overlooked amongst some of the other, like the big, the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare Before Elm Street and all that. But I think this movie is genius. It's kind of a slow burn at the start. You're not quite sure what it's about. A family moves into a new house. There's not a whole lot of like, jump out at you kind of stuff. They're one of their sons falls into like a permanent coma, and then crazy demonic and paranormal hijinks ensue. But it's got a little bit of everything. It's got some jump scares in there that are still stand the test of time. It's got some great performances. Patrick Wilson, who plays the dad in it, is phenomenal, and his wife, played by Rose Byrne, she's great in it as well. You've got paranormal stuff in there. You've got demonic entities. You've got them traveling to a ghost world that they call the Further. You've got theories about astral projection, which is something like maybe in a later episode we get into as part of like the whole conspiracy theory type deal. But there's a lot in there, and it's just all around, to me, a great movie that very often gets underlooked. It did spawn some rather questionable sequels, but that first one lives up to it, especially the last 20-30 minutes of it is just edge of your seat, fun ride. So
all good horror movies have questionable sequels, right?
Indeed.
But that's a hot take to me, because even the sequels in that are great.
Never seen any of them.
Oh
never seen any of them. Didn't even know they were like worthy of watching. Maybe I'll go watch them now.
100%.
Very good. All right. Next up is it's me. No, it's Corey. Go ahead, Corey. You're up. Yeah, you're on a time limit, son.
I don't have a whole lot to say anyway. That's a lie. Underrated.
You want me? Yeah. Underrated first.
So it was kind of a toss up. I'm going to pick Scream 5, which is not known as Scream 5. It's known as Scream.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What's wow?
No, just your pick. Wow. What
I
else do
like
you
the
think?
pick.
Is it good?
I like the pick.
I don't know.
You like it?
Never saw it either.
All right, you got to see it.
That's the most recent one, right?
It's the first of the most recent two.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean,
It's a lot to
honestly, it just didn't get the recognition it deserved. I don't think. I think it's a phenomenal movie. It kind of just plays off of the whole original plot, with Billy Loomis's daughter being involved. And I'm not going to summarize the whole thing because I can't. But ultimately, I think that no one gives it any respect. I think it's. Let's see. The first one is obviously the most iconic.
I haven't given it any respect either.
I will place
Not even by choice, just like
I will place it better than 3 and 4.
It's funny because I was looking at this and I think it might be one of the lowest grossing Scream movies, and I thought
See
the
what I
same
mean?
thing looking at the list, that it was much better than how it played out.
And
believe just going along with that though, I think that it came out during COVID. So
Touche.
Yeah.
So,
But isn't that more of a reason to watch a movie?
No,
well,
for sure. But like, as far as
grossing means right. Movie theaters.
Yeah.
Right.
Box
Grossing
office.
would mean movie. Right.
Got
Exactly.
also Scream 6, which is known as Scream 6, I thought was phenomenal too. I mean, it takes place in New York City.
So they had a Scream 4 and then just Scream and then
Yes.
Scream 6.
Scream
That's
is
ridiculous.
Scream 5. It's not ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
real edgy.
At least the Fast and
they
the
can do-
Furious, they 8,
Let's not even
9,
get started
10,
on
Fast
that.
X for 10.
Listen, it's art, and we can do whatever the hell
Scream
we want.
over Fast and Furious any day of the week.
Yes, 100%.
No.
Oh,
no,
yes.
No.
Yes, every one of them too.
Easy
Every
call, Sean.
single one of them. But just for the record, and I'll end with this, my toss-up was also Halloween 2018, which, guess what? It's just known as Halloween, even though it's how many movies in? Although it goes, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it goes Halloween 1978, and then Halloween 2018 is the next movie in that line.
So if we want to get real next level here in about 25 seconds, I'll tell you that there are of all the Halloween movies, there's 12 of them. I could be wrong on that, so I would need to fact check myself. But
Bill's on it.
there are 4 separate timelines within all those movies. So some of those movies can correspond. Like, for example, Halloween 1 and 2 took place, and then 3 is disregarded as its own thing, and 4 and 5 then take place. But
Which
then
that's brilliant. That's like something like artistically
Right.
brilliant.
but then
And it's 13.
but then you've
13.
got like Halloween 1 and 2 disregarding 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then jumping into Halloween H2O. There's several different timelines in there that they've stopped, restarted. It's almost as confusing as the Marvel universe now at this point. So
Halloween 3 that has
I
nothing to do with
understand
anything.
the Marvel universe very much. I understand that.
I don't.
Universe.
as do I.
I do not.
That could be another breakdown. Anyways, we could be really nerding out on that stuff. Very good. All right, so I'm next, and mine was the movie The Nun. Came out in 2018. It's a religious horror movie. Those are my. I like. Admittedly, I kind of take or leave horror movies. To be totally honest, I'll watch them. I think some of them are good. Some of them are not that good. I'm intrigued by them sometimes, but I don't like seek them out to watch them. And I like movies in general. I just don't. I don't know. I never really have been hugely into horror. But The Nun, when it comes to like the religious, supernatural, mystical, exorcism, like just that kind of demonic stuff, when it's fiction, which is fake, right, Corey?
Correct.
It fascinates me, and I want to watch it. If it's like a real nonfiction documentary on that kind of stuff, I'm no way, Jose. I will not sleep at all, and I'll be like getting up in the middle of the night, like fighting the demons, and like I get a little. If I watch weird stuff before bed, I get a report the next morning that I was up and about throughout the night, like keeping my family safe.
Practicing
All the
your
intruders.
ninja skills.
Yeah, I am. So The Nun, 2018. None of the actors I have ever even heard of until that movie. I just thought it was phenomenal. They came out with a second one. The second one was not nearly as good, but the first one was I just thought it was really good. I saw it on a rainy night in Baltimore, Maryland, with my wife when we were up visiting her family, and it was like us and 4 other people in the theater, and it was frightening. It was good. So that's my underrated.
Are you aware that the Nun is a spin-off of the Conjuring films?
Yes, I did know that. Yes, I did know that.
So the second Conjuring film, in my opinion, is terrifying, and it's because of the nun that's in it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I might have to watch it.
Don't watch that, Sean. Don't watch that.
No, I gotta watch it in the daytime. I gotta watch it at like 3
out
a.m.
of my house.
You should watch it during the daytime for sure.
Okay. All right. Good.
Real quick, were you in Baltimore, Maryland? In Baltimore.
That's where it happened.
Baltimore County. Baltimore County.
That's pretty scary itself.
Close enough.
Yep.
That is like a horror movie by itself.
Yep. Also, I'm not knocking Catholicism at all, but like when you make a movie out of things that have to do with that, it does.
Yeah.
It makes for a great horror movie.
And there's really no other religion that you can do that with.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's phenomenal. And lastly, if you like that, you'd love Insidious. It's all in the same realm of things. Right. It's the same director, isn't it? James Wan did Insidious and The Conjuring.
He didn't do The Nun.
He didn't do The Nun.
But yeah.
Can Bill check that real quick? That's my underrated. Bill's gonna fact check that, and then it's we're gonna kick it to him for his underrated segment.
I missed it. I'm sorry about that, but
that's all right.
That's a confirmed.
It is confirmed. Okay.
You're underrated.
Underrated for me was a toss up. First of all, on Corey's note, and if you're new to life and you haven't seen Scream, like the original Scream, I think that is like one of the best.
I have seen the original and the second one.
It's fantastic because of how different it was at the time. The second one wasn't good at all, but the first one was fantastic. Anyway, the for me, second place would be the OG Texas Chainsaw, which Texas Chainsaw is based off of the Ed Gein crimes and things like that. I'm personally more into movies that are tied into non-fictional events, things that actually have happened. They're a lot more scary. To Sean's note, I won't always watch them, but I do fall asleep to like the old serial killer documentaries from time to time, and my wife says, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And but my number one underrated is easy. Actually, it's Child's Play. I mean, Child's Play to me is out of all those movies, 80s, 90s horror movies.
It is freaky.
And the banter. I mean, I love the banter and the style of the movie in which, the guy's like, making wisecracks as he kills people and yada, yada, yada. I just think they're phenomenal. I was always intrigued by those growing up. Those were always my favorite. Personal favorite horror movie.
Nice. All right, we're back to you, Greg, for overrated. I think I'm hoping to piss somebody off with mine.
You're probably
I was torn here. I was really torn, and then I talked to Corey a little bit earlier on the phone, and I kind of solidified my decision. So honorable mention, and I won't go too deep into it in case one of you guys had it, is the pretty much the entire catalog of Saw films is my honorable mention. But my most overrated is that new stinker of a Halloween trilogy. Okay. All 3 of them, like 2018 through 2022. They, of course, because Hollywood has seemingly run out of originality and ideas, felt the need to come back and remake one of the greatest horror characters of all time, redo the franchise all over again. Whatever. Okay, it's promising. You're bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis. You're continuing the story from the very first movie. You're completely discounting everything else that came after it. Is the very first 1978, and then boom, here we are in 2018. All these years later. And the first one just titled Halloween has some good stuff in it. There's some good scares, there's some good kills. It's a little over the top, it's a little on the nose, but overall a decent horror film, followed up by the two worst horror movies I've ever seen. I mean, just terrible. Halloween Kills all takes place on one night. It's there's this whole like sub theme in it about what was going on in our country at the time, which was the last presidential election, and so the riots and everything like that, and like, so there's this whole like
That's so lame
subtext
when
in
they
the
do that.
film where they're all the
That's so lame.
townspeople are gonna riot against Michael Myers, and we got to find him and track him down and beat him down, and they've all got their slogans and their you know, I forget what it, like, evil ends tonight or whatever they're shouting like a mob through the street, and it was just horrible. Again, I'm watching this movie to disappear from reality for a couple hours. I want to suspend my disbelief. I want to watch a horror movie. I want to watch Michael Myers chop some people up. I want to see Jamie Lee come out on top in the end, or maybe not, you know, cliffhanger or whatever. I don't want to see subtext about mobs and elections and all this other, you know, crap. Leave that out of my horror movies. So yeah, that was really bad. And then its sequel came out, and let me tell you, Halloween, what was it, Corey? Halloween Ends, right? I don't even remember the name. I am not the kind of person that like I will watch a movie all the way through, even if it's a stinker, even if it sucks. I turned this one off. I turned this one off 3/4 of the way through. Now I did go back and watch the end of it, just, you know, for the sake of being able to talk about it or whatever. But it is the worst movie I've ever seen. The fact that you could tarnish the legacy of Michael Myers by allowing him to become a friend of some weirdo kid that gets bullied, and then they become friends, and then this kid like gets Michael's powers or whatever. I don't know. The whole thing is confusing. It's trying to be some kind of art house movie. It's not an art house. It's a slasher movie.
Sounds terrible.
It is absolutely terrible. Michael Myers kills one person in the entire movie. The rest is this idiot who's dressed up as him. And it's just terrible. The ending was rushed. The final battle scene was terrible. It was it was trash.
So the question is, Greg, will you go see Halloween 37 or whatever the next one is now?
Unfortunately, yes, because I love Michael Myers.
They got you. They've done their job.
They've got their hooks in, dude. Like, it's something about that original 1978, which a lot of people agree or don't think stands the test of time. To me, is one of the most atmospheric, scary horror movies of all time. And it's the music, it's the lighting, it's the fact that half the movie you can't really see him, or he'll appear out of nowhere in the shadow and then disappear back into it. It's it's top notch. Oh, and I should say real quick, so this last trilogy was written by David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, two guys who I absolutely love. Danny McBride is absolutely hilarious. Okay. David Gordon Green did Pineapple Express, which I love and I laugh at every single time I watch it.
Oh yeah.
Stick to comedy, you fucking moron. Okay. Leave horror alone. Don't touch it anymore. Get out of here. He also just recently directed the newest Exorcist movie, which was another stinker. So you need to walk away from horror, sir. Stick to your comedy films and you'll be all right.
Well said.
What's your favorite horror movie of all time, Greg?
We're going to jump into that?
I would think it's
a toss up between The Exorcist and The Shining, but the original Exorcist, which again is one of those movies that not a lot of people think is scary or whatever, I think is one of the most absolutely terrifying movies I've ever seen. It is an exercise in tension. It's an exercise in less is more. The scariest things out there are the things that we cannot see. or reach out and touch. And it, and the fact that it all centers around this little girl who is just changing the entire movie into this demon and getting like progressively worse and worse and worse. I mean, like it's still to me the most terrifying movie I've ever seen.
Corey, overrated horror film.
Paranormal Activity. And let me clarify. I believe that it is properly rated today, possibly. I don't think anybody's really still talking about it too much. At least I never hear anything. When it came out, it was like the greatest thing ever. At least it seemed like that to me. I don't know if you guys remember, but even like the trailer that they were showing on TV and stuff to promote it, the advertisement and everything was like, it was videos of the audience in the theater reacting to the movie. Probably because the movie itself was so bad. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I have. And you're right.
Okay. Sean, I mean, it's basically a what do they call those? Found footage film?
Footage.
Okay. Yeah. And
like the Blair Witch Project.
Post Blair
Yes.
Witch, like the next level,
And, the whole reason, the undertone reason of this guy having this camera, whether they acknowledge it or not, is that he's trying to make a adult film with his girlfriend that he lives with, whether they want to say it or not. And then it's just like a repetitive night by night thing. He's got this video camera set up in the bedroom and, starts noticing that he's capturing little odd things happening and they progress and progress and progress. Whatever. There is zero plot, I think, to the first one, to be honest. There's nothing intriguing about it. You want it to be good. Like I said, like the trailer with the audience reacting and stuff, like I remember thinking, and I was in high school when it came out, this is going to be awesome. Me and my girlfriend are going to watch this together. It's going to be great. Love horror movies. And it just blew. There was, like I said, no plot all the way up until the end. One person dies in the first one at the very end. And like, granted, I will say there are some jump scares, I think, things that might still get me today, but I can't make it through the freaking movie. It was really bad. And I've seen them all. It's been a while now. And a plot does develop over the sequels. It's still nothing that you really care about, I think. And I can't really recite the plot to you, nor do I care to, or anybody else really care, but it's nothing you can sink your teeth into, and it's just crap. So
spot on. I probably one of the most profitable trailers ever released. I mean, whoever did that was genius, because I 100% agree with you. Like I saw the preview, it's like, oh, it's gonna be fantastic.
Yep.
Terrible.
I'll give them this credit. They did do very well for having a $15,000 budget. Like that's kind of cool, but not good enough, buddy.
That could also be BS.
Yeah, true.
Well,
it's on the internet, so it's probably true.
Yeah, of course. So, all right, mine is I actually had Saw, Greg. That was going to be. I just think they're stupid. I don't.
That's fair.
I know a couple of them had like a decent twist and like the actual person who was doing it and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool, but overall overrated. I had a second one because I had a feeling Saw might be chosen, was the Purge movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be serious here for a minute. I have truly think that that is just it is such a horrible thing to make a movie about something like that, in today's day and age, when so many, not that there haven't been impressionable people years and years ago, but just that's why those people are contributing to the downfall of our society, really and truly. I get you're trying to make money and all that, and I'm all for creative, whatever, but I just think the concept of those movies is sending a really, really bad message, really and truly bad message. And the movies themselves just were not that good. So short and sweet.
I will say this about the Saw franchise. The thing that I really like about the first one is that if you start their original idea was it's two guys in a room, and the fact that they were able to carry like most of the movie just based on two dudes trapped in a room was a cool concept. It was just, after that first one, it's the same movie over and over and over and over and over again. Just more bloody, more violent, different setting, same shit.
100%. Sean, real quick on the Purge. Definitely see where you're coming from. Here's my deal with the Purge, and I gotta say this, and let me preface with I'm sober and I love sobriety and I love my life. I promise. Why in the hell, if they're gonna make a movie, the most unbelievable thing about that movie to me is that, okay, you have a day to do whatever crime you want to do, and it's a freebie. You're telling me everybody goes to killing? I'm gonna go rob every drug dealer on the corner. If I'm a drug addict, I'm going to go rob Home Depot all day long. Banks,
wait, you're sober?
Done. I am sober, I promise. But in a past life, oh no, I'm going to go kill my neighbor because his grass is too high. That's bull. That's my problem with the Purge.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Corey. Go ahead, Bill.
All right, so I'm going to definitely piss Greg off here, but I got a couple here. The Hellraiser series, terrible. Hated it. So on top of that, Signs in the Sixth Sense. I guess Sixth Sense is classified as a horror flick. On that note, anything by M. Night Shyamalan in any genre of movie is absolutely terrible. The Ring, terrible. It is really bad as well. I don't like that movie. I think that movie is trash. Get Out was absolutely, I think, driven off striking chords in society and not really a good horror movie. And then my number one overrated is Jason. I think Jason is completely overrated. I think the story is interesting at the beginning, but the amount of fame and publicity that Jason has gotten off of minimal amount of actual horror, like a dude walking after people, that to me is so frustrating. Like I have to have some realism in the setup of the actual death, and I don't think people actually have to die in a horror movie for it to be scary. However, like when you're just walking after somebody, I can't do it, man. I just can't, and I haven't been able to do it since the beginning, since I was a kid.
The slow burn.
Yeah, it's just so like you run into the tree, and it's like come on, dude. So to me, I think that Jason is by far and I know I'm going to get some flack from other people about that, but I can't do it. Just real quick to do my favorite horror movies. That I believe that's what we're going to do is Silence of the Lambs, The Shining, and Greg mentioned Jaws. Jaws to me caused the most fear in my life. It really did. I still to this day in the water, like deep water, will not get off a boat and get in the water. First thing I'll think about is that movie. And the greatest is The Exorcist. I mean, you can't top that movie. So that's what I got.
And again, like those older movies too, like Jaws, right? You don't see the shark until like you're like an hour and 15 minutes in to the movie before you ever even see the shark. It's like, to me, it's like that whole less is more thing,
So,
right,
so does that mean like the movie Anaconda is technically a horror movie too?
Yeah,
that was a hell of a movie.
That was a Jennifer Lopez booty showcase. Is what that was.
that and Ice Cube and Ice Cube, right? Wasn't that the one with Ice Cube in it?
I mean, Ice Cube's got a donkey donk too.
What was the Gator one too with Lake Placid?
Lake Placid.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was like a comedy movie, dude. They were like cheering on the Gator. Like.
So let me take a moment then to say this. I don't really know if I have a favorite or most anticipated. I guess I'll be boring and go with the none just because I can't think of anything else. But so we talked a lot about like Scream and some of the traditional ones. Where does something like I Know What You Did Last Summer fall in for you guys?
Oh, that is
because I actually thought those were like better than Scream.
It's not bad.
Ooh,
it's not bad. I don't.
Have you rewatched it recently?
No,
the first couple,
not,
like the
not
first
since
couple
it came out.
It's a lot of nostalgia.
They come out with a new one, right? Recently. Didn't they come out with a new one?
I think it was
sure
a series. I think there was like an Amazon Prime series.
But
Well,
like
let's be real.
the original two.
The only good one is the first one. I mean, so the whole premise of, the whole thing, I think it's great, but I don't think it's Scream. Me personally, I see Scream as like a whole different angle in that genre. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that I Know You Did Last Summer. The premise of the movie really is Jennifer Love Hewitt in a low-cut shirt.
We all love
running for 2 hours, and that is a great premise for a film for me.
Wait, hold on a sec. Hold on. 1997. I was probably just starting.
Dude, she was in like
pre-Jamaica.
Oh yeah, dude, she was a dime, dude.
That was 1997.
I believe so.
The first one came out, but the reason I said that is
what?
No, are you sure? I think it was
the first one was 95. Yeah.
Point being is those movies and Scream, they all came out within the same few years of each other. Scream 1 was 96, then 97. So.
What about Final Destination?
Yeah,
I would put those in the Saw category. The Saw category. Yeah, just like that.
They're better than Saw.
They might be, but I'm saying like that same
I get it.
genre within a genre of.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that movie when you're at the airport?
No,
not really. But
if
you're behind a truck with
logs on
it, that's not cool.
Okay.
Producer Deneen wants us to shout out Blair Witch and Hostel, the movie Hostel, which
I personally love Blair Witch.
Decent.
I love
the Blair Witch. I remember seeing that in theaters. Me and my buddy went and saw it. We were in high school, and nobody knew at that time. I think it was 99 when that came out. Nobody knew that was found footage. We all thought we were watching a documentary. So it was terrifying. And then now we know what found footage is.
Corey was 3.
What was it, 1997?
99. My cousin
99, something like
that. My cousin was 10 years older than me, and he took me to that movie, and he was like, "This is terrible." I loved it. I was eating it up. It was on, and we didn't know until the MTV Music Awards,
right?
And they were there. That
Bill DeLuca.
We're alive. You know what I mean? I was eating it up. I was loving the Blair Witch Project.
Yep.
So real quick, I want to say I didn't say my favorite yet. I don't think. So
go ahead.
I will not be overlooked.
We're gonna wrap this segment up. Go ahead. Corey.
Yeah, I won't be overlooked though. But I will also add, there is absolutely nothing scary about Jaws. Nothing. And I've met plenty of people that say differently, not just you guys. There is nothing scary. It is a fantastic movie. It's not scary. Anyway, moving on.
Corey, when's the last time you went into the beach?
Yeah, get in the fucking water with a shark, all right?
I will. Okay, I will. I will say that the ocean is scary for a whole nother reason, because that shit will take you. But I'm not afraid of the shark.
That was retribution for the Kelce segment.
Kidnapper.
The last time I was in the ocean, like in, not just in with the kids, like shallow, like in the ocean, it took me out a little bit. I needed a little help getting back to shore. I was also like 120 pounds. I had zero fortitude. Anyway.
Okay.
We're glad you do now.
I still don't.
I don't know if the word fortitude was used in
testicular fortitude,
context, but that's okay.
All
right.
Did I just take Bill's dig? All right.
Huh?
Oh no, you mispronounced the words. Have you done that yet?
I have not.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has. But
all right, favorite, real quick.
Go ahead.
I'll just name 2 and we'll just move it on. My favorite paranormal side of horror is Insidious. It's the best. We have already
never
been
seen
over
it.
Yeah, go watch it. It's phenomenal.
I will.
And then the slasher side would be Halloween 1978. And the only thing I want to say about that, since we already kind of encompassed everything, I think, is it is to me, the original classic horror movie. It literally takes place on Halloween.
You mean 1978 is like when you say that, you mean the original, right?
The
like
original
OG
Halloween.
Original. Okay, yeah.
It's not cheesy to me. I know that like you see the knife through the mask holes and you don't see anything, like whatever. It's phenomenal. It will stand the test of time. It has and it will forever.
So Greg and Corey, real quick, do you guys like the Jason series, or because you seem both to be on with Halloween?
I respect the Jason series for what it is, which is you know, they were trying to do something with the first and second one. Then they realized like what they had, and they just ran with it. So I respect the Jason series for what it is.
Like,
we got to throw some love to Freddy Krueger then. If you're
well,
talk
I was
about,
about to say it goes
That's scary.
It goes Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and then like Jason somewhere in there below them.
Wes Craven was a master of horror. And
yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street was, yeah.
Bill, you brought up M. Night Shyamalan, and I remember going to see that movie, The Village, in theater. Remember that one?
Yeah, terrible.
And it's like present. It's like you think it's like way in the olden days, and then it's like present day. You know, that was ridiculous.
Some of that was shot in my hometown, Pedricktown, New Jersey.
God, I'm gonna forget the name of it now, but low key, M. Night Shyamalan did a movie. It was more of you would call it a thriller, but it was freaky and scary. Oh God, I'm gonna something Island. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, Shutter Island.
Oh, dude, that was fantastic.
That's
movie.
not him.
Shyamalan.
That's not
Are
him.
you sure? No.
Yeah. Actually, I looked up M. Night Shyamalan for this segment. And if you go on his wiki page, it talks about Sixth Sense and another movie made around there then was good. And then it talks about his like long string of terrible movies. And like
He's got a lot of swings and misses. One thing I will say, Unbreakable with Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson is a film.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. That was good.
We can't say that's a horror movie though, right?
No, it's a
but
thriller.
Yeah, great movie though.
Yeah.
And then
Almost
the one
like
that
a
came out a
Marvel.
couple years ago, Glass or whatever.
Which was a sequel to it, yeah.
Oh, dude, that was those were well done.
Those
movies.
are good.
Well done movies. So, all right, guys, you guys ready to move on?
Yep.
Now that we've had that conversation, we're gonna stay on. We are gonna kind of stay on the supernatural kind of side of things. So, we're gonna get into our on the beam spirituality segment, and we've some of you listeners may kind of sense a pattern in what we're kind of doing, and if you do, great. If not, that's okay, because we're not going to say it out loud exactly what the pattern is. But we've talked about, a little bit of our stories, the name of the pod, all that stuff, the stuff that brought us right into the rooms of recovery, or right up the events leading up to it. And then kind of our powerlessness side of things, how our lives were unmanageable. Then starting to get a little bit of hope, right? This power greater than ourselves. Most of us refer to it as God. Starting to get some hope that there is an opportunity, and we do have a chance. And so we're going to kind of continue on that note a little bit with some making a decision. We've titled this segment "Making a Decision." Making a decision to what? Making a decision to. One of my favorite lines of a book is "Turn in all things to the Father of Light, capital L, that presides over us all." And Bill is going to get us started.
Well, thanks for that, Sean. And as usual, I will preface by saying that these things are not only applicable to recovery, they're applicable to anybody, and might be not you personally, but somebody else you know or love or care about that that you see in these kind of situations. For me, the things that Sean is talking about, when I moved to Florida 9 years ago, I was a broken man. I was homeless. I had about 15 little grocery bags of dirty winter clothes from Pittsburgh. I was out of my mind. I had nothing left as far as worldly possessions, coverages of insurance, or family wouldn't even take the email type of deal. And on top of all that to boot, in my heart of hearts, I was an atheist. And I met a guy, and we began to learn things and discuss things about myself. And it so happened to be that there was this lead up that, hey, Bill, if you really want to change yourself, you're going to eventually have to turn these things over to something greater than yourself. To which I always decided, in my head at the time, that not really ever going to do that part of it, but I see everything else, and I'll kind of buffet style around that, And one thing led to another, and the next thing, to be blunt about it, was we were at our great friend Brian Beatty's house. R.I.P. Brian, we love you, man. And I was in Brian's room. Now, I don't know Brian that well this time. Now, to set the story here, like, this is a reggae kind of band dude, like Florida Sun, like someone you would more relate to, like seeing at a rave, not like changing your life for the better, or like, or like recovering for something. but he had a good heart, and he had lost his parents and I had lost my parents. And we really bonded on that. Like him and I had that fundamental thing. And he invited me to my house when I had nothing. And I was like, why did this dude invite me over? Like, I don't know, but there's free spaghetti. I'm going to go. So a couple months down the line anyway, and I'm working and on this stuff. And the next thing you know, I'm at Brian's house and I'm actually with Sean and I'm in Brian's bedroom and I'm on my knees and we're doing this thing of turning this thing over, and I'm like turning this over, turning it over, and and Sean's like, let's pray together. So I'm on my knees in Brian's bedroom. I'm holding Sean's hand, who I don't know really that well either at the time, and I trusted him, but I didn't know him that well. And my first thought in my head as he was saying this prayer, not I, was, wow, this is what my life's really come to. I'm holding hands with some dude in some other weird dude's bedroom, and we're like wishing to a leprechaun here. You know what I mean? And that a genie would pop out of a lamp and just cure me of all my insanity and all my abilities to not stop putting substances in myself and think insane and negative and live in sin. And at that moment, I was not like, struck or anything like that, but it's a testament to the action, right? Because after that, I continued down the path. I continued the guidance with the people that had the freedom, whatever world you're in, that you want the freedom, like water seeks its own level. I said it before on here. You have to find those people. You got to find your tribe. And I continued the actions. And then one day, as I continued to diligently work on these things, I was struck. I was struck by evidence in my heart. The words were optional. The wording became expressed in my heart. And when that happened, it was like no one could ever take it away from me. And that's what I needed. I needed evidence in my heart. It was a feeling beyond a feeling, but I had given up. I had given up all these things and I had turned them over for that moment. And something changed in me. Something changed that I believe that, honestly, to this day, I believe anybody can communicate and have that effectiveness in their own heart if you're willing to set aside old ideas and allow other ones to usher themselves in through guidance, So I don't know if anyone got anything out of that, but I will say that the fact of something that seems so overwhelming to an atheist became the most important action maybe in my entire life, that really sparked an entire revolution and a mustard seed to grow into an oak tree. And ever since then, I've had freedom in my heart. I haven't struggled with substance abuse. I haven't wanted to use. I haven't thinking about using, not using, depression, anxiety, all those things. I haven't randomly, struggled like that in years and years and years. And today I still do things to maintain that. We'll get into later, but it's all inclusive. Anybody's invited. So with that, I'll let you guys get into it. Thank you.
Bill, thank you. That was beautiful. And I remember those times well, or especially remember the dirty clothes and the dirty Pittsburgh hat. We had some good times. So, Bill, just for the listeners, he says all that. And in his early sobriety, he would come up to me, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months sober in a group of people and be like, hey, can we just go over here and can we pray? Can you pray with me? Can you pray? Which was a testament to how devoted he was to at least giving this a chance. So. All right, Greg, you're up next.
I had no clue how to pray.
Say me? I'm up.
Yes, sir.
All right. So thank you for that, Bill, and thank you, Sean. I've talked about it a little bit already, but getting sober, at least physically, was the easy part, right? And it's easy to reach out for help nowadays. There are resources at every corner, on every, corner of the internet and everywhere else. You can get help. You can ask for help and you can get it. And you can also half-ass ask for help and half-ass get the results too. And for me, like I said, the easy thing is getting physically sobered up. The hard part for me was making the actual decision, right? with the, we talked about it last week with the coming to believe, like when I got to the point of sitting down with another man who knew the facts about himself and knew what it meant to be an alcoholic and addict, and went through it with me and kind of laid it all out, that I had been trying to control everything and everyone in my life for a long time. I'd been trying to fit everybody's little pieces to benefit myself always, and it really struck me because I never thought of myself. Of course, I always thought of myself as a great human, right? And never the selfish prick that I was a lot of the time. So once that stuff was pointed out to me, and I really was able to have, for the first time in a long time, some honesty with myself about what my situation was, how dire it really was. The willingness and everything became a little bit not as tall of a task, I should say. Making the decision to want to continue on with the work, to try and be a better person, to try and be what I said the word God at the time. I didn't even know what that was to me, but again, we talk about things like a higher power of our choosing, and the constant defining of that for myself personally is I went with this idea that, okay, like there's something bigger at work in the universe than me, and then that goes beyond the limits of what humans can do. And I'd seen it work in other people, and I was willing to give it a shot to work in myself. So the decision for me was, I'm willing to continue with this work. I'm willing to try and do what I would hope my creator would want me to do on a daily basis, and do my best to align my wills and my actions on the daily to what that ideal was. And a lot like Bill said, it wasn't too terribly long after. There were some things I had to do, but it wasn't too terribly long after. We used to go, a bunch of guys would go up to South Carolina on a retreat, and we were up there. We would go to this side of the mountain at this beautiful chapel that was carved into the side of a mountain every morning, and it was just, for the most part, silent meditation. And I had an absolute spiritual experience right there that I still to this day can't really describe. Like I all I know is I had a physical reaction to something not physical going on outside of me. So and from that point on, have there been hard days? Yes. Have there been days where maybe I felt a tinge of depression or whatever? Sure. I think that's just normal. But at the same time, I've always, from that point forward, had an inherent thought or an idea of what I needed to do to correct that stuff. And much like Bill said, from that point forward, I never have felt since the urge to want to go out and drink, to want to go out and pick up, to any of that had been removed from me. And by the grace of a higher power, it stays removed from me. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. Corey, do you still not believe in anything?
I believe, Sean.
I'm just kidding.
I'm a believer. Would you want me to go?
That was your cue. Yes. Good job.
Good. Next time, just say it.
Pray to Kelce.
I don't pray to Kelce because he's alive. So I like what you guys said. I want to say that the best thing, I think, for someone to feel when they enter sobriety, if they're fortunate enough, is that they don't know. And for me, when I got to this period of sobriety that has lasted this long, I didn't know. I didn't know anymore. I didn't have the answers. certainly realized I do not know how to stay sober. I don't know how to, moderate alcohol or drug use or anything, which is kind of funny when you talk about moderating heroin use, like that's even a thing.
Smoke crack like a gentleman.
Yes, I failed at that. But man, like my arms were up when I got sober. Like I just didn't know how to do this thing. And like we already talked about the previous 2 weeks, I was lucky enough to get kind of dropped into a community of recovery that a lot of people meant business, and a lot of people were very passionate about helping those suffering get sober. Luckily for me, this idea of basically turning in everything to God, that's something that back then it had not less meaning is not the phrase I want to use, but I'll use it like that. I didn't know how much it was going to mean one day. Back then, it was kind of like an agreement, like, okay, I'm going to listen to these people that you placed in my life, kind of do what they say to do. They have experience, clearing the wreckage of their past, reuniting with family and getting back their credit cards and stuff like that, and whatever they do. What, Sean?
That was just random, like getting back their credit cards.
A credit card?
Who the heck had credit card before? Though?
I'd like to think that they did.
We get the point. It just was funny the way you put it in there.
I'm not laughing. This is serious. I'm just kidding, Sean. No, but I mean, for real, like that they had money, that they had money, that they had some sort of vehicle, things like that. Like those things were mind blowing to me. A bunch of us used to hop in the back of Ross's old station wagon to go to meetings and stuff.
Not me.
Why not? It was a good time.
Because I was sober longer than him and I had my car already. That's the only reason.
T-Bird.
Thank God.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. But in any event, even today, my point is like that's what it meant back then. Today, it still means that to a degree, but also like I learned that even at 6, 7, 8 years sober, I can get very discontent when I'm trying to control the world around me. When the worst thing I do, you guys know this very well, is
look at him say it. He starts to smile a little bit before he says it.
I have a big ass problem when I don't agree with somebody's brand of recovery. And what I mean by that is like how they're living their lives, whether it's right or wrong. If I don't agree with it, I get internally disturbed over it. And it sounds ridiculous, but like that's how much of a manager I am of other people. They're not acting how I want to act. I don't like it. And forget it if it actually affects like my life. You know what I mean? Or I think it does. That's a big problem. And that's all part of this too. Like I got to quit playing God, right? I am not the underlying totality of things. I need to let things go with the flow. I need to let people live. Remember, Sean? This is kind of a stupid example of it, but one time Sean was driving me back to my house when I did not have a vehicle or a credit card. But we turned down my street. I don't know if you remember this. And there was just people, and they were like playing in the street or whatever. Like not kids, but like, probably somewhat of kids and whoever. Just people being people. And I said something stupid like, what are these people doing in the effing street or whatever? Like something stupid. And Sean just looks at me and goes, they're living their lives. Like, leave them the fuck alone, dude. What is that going to affect you, But man, that's how I can get. That's how I can get if I'm not living in this idea of, giving it all to God. And like, obviously that gets deeper. And I feel like we go through times in life where we need to do more of giving it over. And, that like, man, finances has been a big thing this year. And I don't always help myself by going to so many concerts and stuff. And maybe that's something that, it is something that I'm looking at, although it won't seem like that, unfortunately. But I promise I am looking at it. But, that's something I've been trying to like give to God too. Like, you know, and with that, honestly, God, I feel like in a different, in a way, has revealed to me, like, Corey, you need to be looking at your, financial amends that you still owe, and you need to be a little bit more generous with the money that you think you need to hold on to so tightly, and doing little things like whatever, giving church a donation or what have you, or some sort of charity stuff, even if it's just a little amount. I don't have a whole lot to give, but things like that is what I'm looking at, and that's how I'm kind of living in what I hope is God's will.
Thank you, Corey. We're pushing up against it, so I have a few thoughts on this. Number one, this is the beginning of this is really and truly the beginning of the spiritual journey for me and for most of us in the recovery process. It's making a decision, starting to get to know this God that we may or may not have ever known before in our lives or believed in before in our lives. Couple things, couple requirements. I have to be convinced that my own life running on self-will cannot be successful, right? I will not even think about making this decision to turn it over to this ultimate being if I still think I can do the job better myself. And then I have to quit playing God. And I would have never used that. I would have never defined my actions prior to sobriety as playing God, but that's exactly what I was doing, trying to manipulate situations, trying to, suit myself, the selfishness, the self-centeredness. I never did anything for you if it didn't have an impact for me, right? Lyle used to say, you first, after me kind of thing. So I have to be convinced of those things. This part of the recovery process was twofold. It was a decision to proceed with the rest of the recovery program, really and truly give whatever my feelings about some of it were, to like just put that aside and just go through with the process full bore, have an experience, and hopefully, have this obsession stay removed. And then I think the most beautiful thing about it, guys, is it literally is a day at a time, right? I make the decision, quote unquote, once, but really that decision is to redecide or recommit to my God every single day when I wake up, right? Before I begin, I ask God to direct my thinking. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about it. When I start to look at it in lengths of time, it doesn't work. But when I can just for today, I'm not going to be a maniac on the roads. Like Bill brought that up the other day. I'm not going to be selfish and self-centered at my home life. I'm going to, get a little extra work done for the boss, even if he didn't ask me to. Like, just for today, I'm going to try and be a better person. We hear people say all the time, like, oh, my sobriety is the most important thing. And sure, I understand what they mean. To me, my relationship with God is absolutely 100% the most important thing in my life, because under God's umbrella is my sobriety, is my family, is my career, is my social life, is my health, my physical fit, like all that stuff is under that umbrella. If I don't have that connection with my higher power, if I don't have that relationship and that dependence and that trust, then I don't really have anything, because then I'm just running around like Corey right after he found out that Jason Kelce retired. So this has been wonderful as always. I appreciate you guys sharing your experiences and helping and like reliving, because I've been a part of most of y'all's experiences in one form or fashion. So it's been really cool to relive that. Anybody have any parting thoughts before we close up? Anybody want to say anything?
Yep. Go Birds. Go Birds, guys.
Anybody else? Greg and Bill, anything you just want to throw in there real quick?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Jaws was scary. That's it.
Jaws was scary. We had another segment tonight, and I'm only going to shout it out real quick, the name of it, just because we are going to pin it and put it to another a later episode. Probably not next week, because we're going to do March Madness, and maybe not even the week after, but we will do it. And that was on the whole Monsanto thing, the agricultural monopolistic giant Monsanto with the Roundup and the genetically modified organism.
Crime family.
Yeah, sounds like it. We just want to tease that because I think it's very interesting. I think it's very applicable once again to today and like better living and healthy living. We also will have some tips on how to stay away from GMOs or use them properly, and a little bit of history of the company. And I think there's a lot of really cool crossover. So we'll pin that. Again, we got some sports segments coming up. A lot of cool stuff. I'll get into it in my outro here in a second, but please send requests for topics, for segments, and for podcasts. Possibly a little cryptocurrency segment coming up at a later date, a little Bitcoin segment or whatever the heck it's called, which will really be fun because you guys can teach me all about that. So a lot of cool stuff we're doing. Shout out to our listeners. Shout out to M. Night Shyamalan. Shout out to Wes Craven.
Jason Kelce.
Thank you for your support. Shout out to Jason Kelce and the entire Kelce family.
I love you.
Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Again, that's at Trudge Report Pod. You can email us directly, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send mailbag requests for topics, questions, and comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here if anyone wants to talk about recovery and our experience, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction and you want to know where to get started, please, we'd love to talk to you. Thank you again to Miss Janine Stella and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night, God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We will see you next week. Cheers.